Guten Morgen. Guten Morgen Moskau, guten Morgen.
Доброе утро Москва, доброе утро Берлин, доброе утро Калининград. Я приветствую всех тех, кто сегодня слушает нас в нашем традиционном диалоге с губернатором. Традиционно мы проводим этот формат совместно с посольством Федеративной Республики Германия. Я приветствую здесь посла Федеративной Республики Германия, доктора Андрея фон Гайера, и я приветствую здесь губернатора Калининградской области господина Алиханова. И сейчас я хочу передать слово традиционном принимающей стороне, потому что очень часто мы проводили диалог с губернатором именно в посольстве Германии в России, в резиденции посла. Но сейчас, поскольку в резиденции ведутся ремонтные работы, то мы воспользовались помещениями Российской германской такой палаты. Пожалуйста, господин посол, я передаю вам слово. Большое спасибо, и я приветствую всех, кто подключился к нам. Приветствую господина губернатора, господина Шепа и наших коллег из Калининграда, генерал-консула Матерна. И на самом деле очень важно, и господин Шеп упомянул, что обычно такой формат проводится в резиденции посла Германии, то есть у меня. И в настоящий момент, к сожалению, это невозможно, и поэтому мы очень рады, что мы были приглашены в гости сюда. И это такое вот гибридное гостеприимство в том отношении, что закуски готовятся для сегодняшнего мероприятия моим поваром. И сегодня на самом деле, в общем-то, речь идет о 2021 году, и, возможно, и в 2022 году еще мы будем существовать под знаком пандемии, поэтому приходится импровизировать. На самом деле, сам формат диалог с губернатором имеет для нас очень большое значение, и мы хотим подчеркнуть различные моменты. Один из таких моментов – немецкий бизнес заинтересован в взаимодействии прежде всего с регионами этой большой страны. Ну и с другой стороны, разумеется, мы также заинтересованы в том, чтобы лучше познакомиться с регионами. И открывать для себя эти регионы, знакомиться с привлекательными сторонами этих регионов, знакомиться с той динамикой, которая имеет место в этих регионах. И ваш регион на этот раз на очереди. Господин губернатор, я очень рад, что вы здесь для того, чтобы встретиться, разумеется, с представителями немецкого бизнеса и с Российско-германской внешнеторговой палатой. Ну и со своей стороны хочу несколько замечаний таких сделать уже в самом начале нашего мероприятия. Если говорить об экономическом взаимодействии, то все вы знаете, что оно требует ясного видения и однозначной характеристики событий. И вы, конечно же, все знаете, что в прошлую пятницу, к сожалению, имела место ситуация, когда сотрудник моего посольства был выслан из страны. И я хочу подчеркнуть, что это, конечно, вызвало очень серьезное недоумение, при том, что этот сотрудник совершенно никаких провинностей на территории этой страны, на территории Российской Федерации не допустил. И при этом также примечательно, что это произошло во время посещения Российской Федерации высоким представителем Европейского Союза по внешней политике, и это удваивает эффект. И, разумеется, я хочу также отметить, что мы хотим смотреть в будущее, но при этом, если говорить о будущем, то мы должны заботиться по возможности наилучшем существовании наших граждан, бизнеса и политики. И я в этой связи также хочу напомнить слова федерального канцлера. Речь идет о принципах правового государства, а принципы правового государства предполагают, разумеется, правовые гарантии. А правовые гарантии – это то, что необходимо государству. И я это хочу соединить со следующей мыслью. Если говорить о политической динамике, то в конечном итоге политическую динамику никогда невозможно полностью отделить от экономической динамики. И если говорить о заинтересованности в развитии экономической динамики, то нужно быть заинтересованным в том, чтобы политическое существование развивалось надлежащим образом. И еще на один момент я хочу также указать, как раз-таки в том, что касается вашего региона, то здесь нужно также помнить о такой мысли. Немецкая политика и немецкий бизнес во многом реализуется именно в европейском контексте, иначе совершенно невозможно. И немецкая политика Германии является частью политики Европейского Союза. И здесь, опять-таки, невозможно это каким-то образом отделить, то есть выстраивать какие-то двусторонние отношения, отделяя их от европейского контекста. Это, к сожалению, невозможно. Здесь необходимо оба аспекта помнить. И я, как посол, помню о том, что если говорить о улучшении нашего сотрудничества, я, разумеется, готов инвестировать в это свою энергию. И это, разумеется, важно и в рамках таких мероприятий, которые происходят сегодня, таких мероприятий, как то, которое происходит сегодня, для улучшения нашего экономического взаимодействия. И хорошо, что бизнес может играть свою роль такого моста для хорошие экономические отношения способствуют улучшению политических отношений, и наоборот, добрые политические отношения способствуют улучшению экономических отношений, а это как раз наша цель. И к нашему диалогу сегодняшнему с губернатором Калининградской области мы готовились долго и подготовились хорошо, и я с нетерпением жду вашей презентации, господин губернатор, и презентации вашего региона. Хороший и большой потенциал имеет место в том, что касается тех компаний, которые уже работают в Калининградской области. Они позитивным опытом могут поделиться. И около года назад мы встречались, и я общался с с кругом представителей немецкого бизнеса в Калининградской области, и это произвело на меня сильное впечатление. У вашего региона есть много плюсов и преимуществ, и, разумеется, отрадно, что у нас связывает с вашим регионом еще общая история. Это дополнительный мост, который мы можем также построить. И это такой аспект в наших отношениях, который стремлен в будущее. И, разумеется, географические аспекты. У вас совершенно уникальная близость к странам Европейского Союза, разумеется, необходимо пользоваться и этим преимуществом также. И хочу еще один момент упомянуть. Если говорить о Балтийском пространстве, тут такое крупное географическое пространство, которое важно и для вашей, и для нашей страны. И наше правительство участвует в различных комитетах. И, соответственно, эти три различных аспекта – география, политическое сотрудничество и экономическое сотрудничество. И, в общем-то, таким образом мы можем также призвать немецкий бизнес к присутствию в регионе. И сегодня мероприятие проходит в Москве, но при этом оно посвящено вашему региону и является частью такого целого ряда мероприятий, поскольку сейчас проходит год в Германии, в России, и очень большое количество мероприятий проводится для того, чтобы кусочек Германии принести в Россию в гибридном формате, не только в онлайн-формате, и можно надеяться, что все больше мероприятий будет проводиться и физически в офлайн-формате. И мы благодарим вас за поддержку, и я думаю, что генеральный консул тоже хочет сказать пару слов в этой связи. И очень важно, и очень хорошо, что мы большое количество акцентов расставляем в сфере научного, культурного, научного обмена и, разумеется, в контексте делового обмена. И последнее мое замечание в данной связи, то есть сейчас также еще начинается и тематический российско-германский год, о проведении которого российско-германское сотрудничество, российско-германское правительство договорились, соответственно, в 2020 году он начался, до 2020 года будет продолжаться. И здесь мы фокусируемся на двухсторонних отношениях в сфере экономики и устойчивого развития. Мы хотим вместе сфокусироваться на тех идеях, которые важны для нас, для того, чтобы переосмыслить эти идеи в ключе устойчивого развития, так, чтобы бизнес в ключе устойчивого развития стал возможным, и в рамках целого ряда мероприятий мы стремимся к этому. Я уверен, что именно в Калининградской области если говорить об устойчивом развитии, будь то в том, что касается инфраструктуры, энергетической политики, промышленной политики, политики в сфере предотвращения изменений климата, Калининградская область многое может сказать и многое может сделать. Мы партнерские отношения поддерживаем в этой связи, и я очень рад предстоящему нашему взаимодействию, и также я рад предстоящему нашему сегодняшнему мероприятию.
Да, спасибо. Добрый день, уважаемые коллеги, уважаемый господин посол, господин Шеп. Мы действительно встречаемся уже не первый раз. Я рад вас всех приветствовать и рад приветствовать тех, кто у нас сегодня в онлайн-формате. Ну, действительно, наши страны, Россию, Германию связывает общая многовековая история. И за эту историю были разные отношения, были и периоды охлаждения, и периоды горячей дружбы. И я надеюсь, что мы, несмотря на все сложности, которые сейчас присутствуют в наших взаимоотношениях, и мы сможем вернуться на тот уровень, на котором мы были совсем недавно. Но, тем не менее, на уровне региона, благодаря в том числе нашей географии, нашему расположению на карте Европы, мы достаточно давно и плотно выстраиваем хорошие взаимоотношения с землями Федеральной Республики Германия. И не так давно мы праздновали юбилей, это был конец 2019 года, юбилей нашего соглашения о сотрудничестве с федеральной землей Шлезвиг-Гольштейн. Мы были большой делегацией с культурной программой, с предпринимателями в Киле, в Любеке. И я уже рассказывал господину послу о том, как мы планировали, но все смешало, все карты смешала нам пандемия, планировали развивать дальнейшее сотрудничество, в основном в сфере логистических проектов. Ну, действительно, год Германии в России уже идет, и мы надеемся, что он будет успешным. Он идет у нас до конца июня.
Successful one will celebrate until June 2021, and this event is also a part of this year. We're very happy what we see regarding the plans of German-Russian Chamber of Commerce. They are planning to host an event in Kaliningrad, and we are very happy about the fact that together we will defeat coronavirus, and nothing will stand in the way of our meeting in September in Kaliningrad. I was hoping that it will take place offline, though it will be hard to get rid of online format in our life for some time ahead. Germany has been a long-time leader among our foreign trade partners, and quite traditionally it's in top 3 leaders, more than $800 million. That was the trade in 2019. It is clear that we do not have very clear statistics for 2020. It was an unusual year, so I do not think it should be a baseline statistic for us. But today we spoke about export capacity from Kaliningrad to Europe, and today our major producer, producer of soybean materials, and will launch a plant in Kaliningrad that will be focused on the Northern Europe market, and I hope that German side would also be interested in looking this way. Mr. Shep, do I continue to move on to the major presentation, or would you like to say a few opening remarks? Okay, I'll say a few words. If you don't mind, I want to say a few words regarding what Mr. Ambassador has said about the expulsion of diplomats. Well, the response here came swiftly, and it's quite a routine matter when the receiving country, the hosting country, perceive certain actions as unfriendly. Unfortunately, the same happens vice versa when the expulsion comes first from Germany. Well, for me, as a person who doesn't have anything to do with serving in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, for me it has become a routine thing. Though I do want to say that we'd like to have fewer such instances. I'd like to use this opportunity to say that Moscow authorities did not have, wouldn't have so many concerns about employees of embassy going to rallies if they were vaccinated. So maybe we should vaccinate employees of diplomatic missions from coronavirus, so we wouldn't be concerned about the fact that they're going to these rallies. Well, as for our diplomats, I mean those in Poland who are working in Warsaw and Gdańsk, we have quite recently vaccinated them. And if we're tasked with this matter, we'll be prepared to vaccinate your colleague, Consul General in Kaliningrad. Unfortunately, consular employees are not immune.
Menschen zuhören und über das Stream.
I was just informed that what we have today is about 150 people joining us through Facebook and other social networks. So about 150 people are seeing that. What we usually have is 20-30 people in our audience, so the members of the chamber. And today we have gathered here in this room, and we'd also like to connect other participants. Vladimir Nikitenko, deputy leader of the delegation of the German economy, who is the head of our matters in Moscow. From my point of view, as a representative of German economy in Moscow, and also me being the member of the governing body of the chamber, I'd like to say that throughout this political freezing period, ice age that we're going through, it is of concern to us. To speak on the matter again, together with representatives of the Eastern Committee of the German economy, we met in December. And we have asked them how it all looked like even before the expulsion of the diplomats. How do they evaluate our relation before that time? And 99% spoke, they gave a negative assessment. And about 1/3 of them said that relations are at a stalemate. And 1/3 said that the relation has deteriorated in a major way. And that continues. Indeed, the economy is not going through a period of stagnation, and we hope that this flying carpet that has been developed by our countries throughout many years of cooperation in culture and civil society cooperation, economy, and science, all that will bring the relationship back. And we hope that today's dialogue will make its small contribution, but a small but important contribution in developing these relations. And now I'd like to give the floor to the Consular General. Mr. Matias, you have the floor. Unfortunately, we do not have the sound. Mr. Governor, Mr. Alichanov, we are very happy that we are holding this dialogue today. Embassy is the heart of our diplomacy, especially through such hard times as today. It's extremely important. I'd like to add a few more images here. That's the ice age in the relations and that they have been stalemated. But I'd like to talk about the frozen pond. That's so to speak, that's the image of our political relations between Moscow, Berlin, and Moscow and Brussels.
But when the ice is quite strong, you can walk, you can trot on the ice towards each other. If you press on the brakes, nothing will happen, of course, and that's why we've decided to resolve this problem together. The first break is, of course, the coronavirus. Of course, in Kaliningrad, there are much less restrictions than in Germany, but I'm sure that the Russian vaccine Sputnik V will be recognized in the West. You, as a governor, has already been vaccinated. I think there has also been a kind of a break on the, the sanctions between the European Union and German sanctions. Well, regarding the political conditions, it's quite clear. There are certain terms and conditions under which these breaks can be released. And Germany has identified these conditions in a very clear way, but we continue to remain a reliable partner, despite any declarations from Moscow or elsewhere. Also, the breaks are not so hard in the economic sphere, especially in relations with Kaliningrad region, and I see extensive prospects in agriculture and tourism over the 1.5 years that I've been working here. I think I see quite good prospects. And I think it's really useful for bilateral relations, these particular areas of cooperation. So much depends on how we approach that. The Russian and German farmers who make their investments, they, of course, benefit from melioration irrigation systems. I've quite recently seen similar systems in many countries, and the German tourists, of course, are attracted to this region as they're attracted by the past, of course. And I think in this sense, in this context, the governor, you've been able to release the pressure and somehow, well, because there are companies that would like to, that would want to invest and to implement their projects here. Also, the tourism, if you look at these nice buildings and what had happened to them after the Russian owners have done and what they have done to them. But of course, there will be other buildings more beautiful than the current town hall, maybe. And you, Mr. Government, you've demonstrated certain architectural ideas in this respect. So I think we would be able to work on that together. First of all, the city on the water. That's I'm talking about this project. And another quite interesting idea that been here in this city is the Kant cafe. Is another good idea that's also emerged among Russians and Germans, and this cafeteria is going to be open until late at night, of course. So I think similar actions can promote and can facilitate our relations. I wish a good and interesting meeting to everyone. Mr. General Councillor, that's a really brilliant idea, and I like that very much. I like this idea that in the evening or even in the dead of the night, we could meet up in the cafeteria to discuss different ideas. What do you think, Mr. Governor, about the idea of this cafeteria? What can attract investors in your region? Thanks so much indeed. Well, in fact, we were planning back in 1920 to carry out this dialogue. The last dialogue took place in Bonn, And so we're planning that the next event will take place in Russia, in the Kaliningrad region. Unfortunately, this never materialized, but we hope that we would be able to get back to this format in the fall of this year. And that we will be able to hold discussions and debates, not only philosophical, but we'll probably we'll discuss some serious problems regarding certain difficulties in our relations. I do hope that the 300-year anniversary of Immanuel Kant that is going to be celebrated in 2024 will take place in Kaliningrad, where this philosopher was born and where he lived. So we are preparing a large-scale program right now. The president has supported the idea of the Immanuel Kant committee. So we do hope that this large-scale project, the museum quarter, will also be implemented. The Tretyakov Gallery and the theater within the frame of this project will also be implemented. So we'll be able to invite not only politicians, but also philosophers and diplomats to participate in this project. Let me start my presentation and then on our investment opportunities. Kaliningrad has long since been a territory of cooperation with foreign investors, with more countries, mostly European countries, have already invested extensively and have their projects. We are unique not only in terms of geographical position, but also there's a set of other features. We'll probably won't talk long about this, but let me note at this point that last year we participated in the world rankings of international economic zones, the Financial Times project. So we participated in this rankings for the first time and were recognized in 3 nominations: logistics, new investments, and special purpose programs, as we received a special award, the relocation program. That was a kind of a significant event, recognition of our success in this area. In Kaliningrad region, we have a regime of economic zone, a free customs area. The tax rates have been reduced significantly. No VAT tax, no duties. So the exclusive component, which is quite attractive for investors, and also there's a special administrative region, a kind of a Russian offshore area, offshore zone. About 40 companies have registered in this offshore area. So this regime is under development and will be developed further, which is similar to such areas in Cyprus, the Netherlands, and other countries. So I'm not going to give more detail about all these events. They are available in the handouts and all of the materials, and they described there in much detail regarding subsidies, about €1 billion annually that are paid to companies doing business in the Kaliningrad region. So they paid from the federal budget, you know, the subsidies. In particular, the BMW company, as you know, one of the recipients of such subsidies. I've started talking about the project which are underway in our region, the projects of Avtodor, company that's been here over the last 20 years, the BMW, with many other car manufacturers such as Kia and Hyundai. So Avtodor signed a special investment contract, 1.0. That's the first version of the contract. So we do hope that this project is going to be developed further, and the BMW will develop these projects further in our region. In our conversation with the ambassador, I mentioned already that there are companies who have been investing in the production of fodder and other components for agriculture. So right now we are launching project for protein concentrates production, 120, 150 million euro sales turnover will be added in our trade with European countries. So we invite you to make investments into this high-tech, in fact, it's a biotech, high-end technology in agriculture. It's a quite popular company, a famous company, Miratorg, is also active in our region, and Amber works production of pharmaceuticals from Medcom. Miramistine, as you know, is one of the drugs which are well known on the Russian market, and thanks to the pandemic, so about 60% of the sales goes to Europe and China. So we do hope that this area is going to be developed further. So as we are in the process of negotiations with pharmaceuticals manufacturing companies, they are planning to build now their large factory there, and the construction cluster, where there are German investors are also present. Victor leader Ushakovsky house bought, which is called Brandenburg. Ushakov used to be called Brandenburg when it was a German territory, and it is fully autonomous with electric solar batteries. Right now, so this in Greece, they've displayed interest in this product as they want to expand their hotel accommodation opportunities thanks to this new technology, which will allow people to live on water. So we see that that's how the Germans enter the European market via Kaliningrad. Also, the Technopolis GS is one of the major clusters in Europe to manufacturing electronic products with a growing number of products in recent years, and for the first time in recent years they've showed very good positive dynamics, and so we also see some subject for cooperation. I've also mentioned already the BMW company, but the final decision on investments in Kaliningrad have not been made so far by the company. But we do hope anyway, and we'll continue our negotiations in this area. There's also sewing production, MS Balchuk, MS Königsberg, the children's food factory, SFAB company, and also colleagues from Amperpex, which developed a composite material that is used in many areas of our everyday life. This is a joint Russian-German technology, so the factory to producing these composite materials is nearing completion in industrial hub Hrabrovo, not far from the airport in Kaliningrad. The general councillor has mentioned that he was impressed by our success in agriculture and in tourism. Just a few words about our farming industry. So indeed, we've over the last years we've had very good outcome in grain harvest. Well, today I'm going to have a meeting with Victoria Abramchenko, our vice premier. So taking into account our geographical position, we would be able to export grain to Europe without any restrictions, because you know, most of our production of cereals is exported to Poland and Germany. So apart from what we grow, we work jointly with Master Int and RBB, a project on selection center and dairy cattle breeding complex. So there used to be a territory which provided food products for half of Germany, but it was mostly dairy products, cheese and others. So it's really good situation with fodder supply in this area. So we're developing this area. So together with the German partners, we've created a selection center that helps us to open up new businesses as we sell the cattle semen for dissemination. So it used to be exported to Germany, so 2 years ago. And now 2 years later, our Minister of Agriculture Partnership opened up this selection center. So that's a good example of our cooperation with the German party. Talking about tourism, it's true that the closed borders was quite interesting. The role it played. We were not ready for such a great number of tourists who arrived last year. Well, of course, they were not foreign tourists. These were mostly Russian people from Moscow, the Urals, the Volga region, and all the regions of the country.
Thanks to our airport, we have a very wide network of connections with other Russian cities. And I hope that this year would be also part of the trend. There will be less limitations on traveling, and our businesses can reap even more yield from these advantages. We do hope that by fall we'll bring back the traffic of goods and services, plus some traveling traffic from people. I also spoke about electronic visa mechanism. The second part of the 2019, we have used this mechanism. And German tourists were very happy to come visit us just for a weekend. Also, they traveled on business matters. Right now, this mechanism, after all limitations will be lifted, will be available around the whole Russia. For Kaliningrad, it was a free visa, but unfortunately, your colleagues from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Russia insisted that this visa to be for a fee. Though I think we were earning more from constant traveling of tourists and people who even come to buy some things other than the consular fee. But the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is not used to us arguing with them, and I think the same goes for Germany. So right now we couldn't get to get a free visa for Kaliningrad, but we hope that we'll be able to bring this back, and we'll see a major influx of tourists, especially young people. We are very interested in that. And this cooperation at the level of student exchanges, as well as the visits by youth delegations, was always at a very high level with us, so we'll be very happy to bring back this activity. If we talk about other economic aspects, we do have to mention the transport infrastructure. We are the only region in the country, in Russia, where we have two formats of railroad gauge, and we're trying to use this opportunity as much as possible. It gives us extra opportunities to transit goods from Europe to China and back. We have increased container transshipment and O&D. We have improved that greatly. That we have amazing opportunity, unfreezing port, non-freezing port, plus a special checkpoint system. We have launched a major car checking point on the border of Litva by the Sovetsk city. Unfortunately, Lithuanians could not yet open it on their side. They have certain issues with the bridge on their territory, but I do hope that we'll open it very soon, because cargo traffic has increased in a big way, and that creates tensions on the border. So our customs officers have to work overtime under great pressure, so we do hope that this checking point will be opened soon. If we talk about building some greenfield plants and projects, I have already said that we have two industrial parks that are being managed by the Corporation of the Development of the Region. This is the corporation that belongs to the region. So these are two parks, Krabrovo and Chernikovsk. One of the projects, Ampertax, they're finishing their construction in the industrial park of Krabrovo. If we talk about our extra opportunities that have to do with the university, I can give you an experience from the ABB company. They have opened up a big engineering center in Kaliningrad. They have about 100 people employed right now, and they have growing staff. And especially foreign investors, we have helped our two universities, Baltic Federal University, named after Kant, and our technical university, to buy equipment and teaching materials, and together with Australia and other European universities, to create an educational program for the needs of the investors. So we're prepared to invest into the education for the investors of the region. And especially for ABB, we have developed a project of relocating staff. There are not so many cities where you can gather 400 highly trained engineers that they needed. So we pay for the movement of people from other regions to Kaliningrad. I'll be honest, it's easier to attract people to Kaliningrad than to many other regions. We have good climate, we have the sea, nice, vibrant atmosphere of development. However, we have tried it out with ABB, and now we offer to all investors, if they need to relocate people from other regions, we're prepared to do that. We will pay part of that expense. I know that we have quite a lot of colleagues with us in the room next to us, plus online. I would like to welcome them all once again and invite them to take part in our future cooperation. I know that we have colleagues from BASF, a major chemical producer of Germany. They have cooperated with Kaliningrad companies for many years now in agro-industrial complex, and our colleagues from Filter are creating non-woven fabrics in our region, and many others. And to take stock of my presentation, once again, I'd like to say that despite all difficulties, despite all, critiques that we're exchanging at the level of the ministries, of embassies, we in Kaliningrad have always been friendly towards and very welcoming towards everyone. Since we work very closely with the European Union, we understand that we're neighbors, and you do not choose your neighbor. So we will have to be friends in any case. And I hope that this period of warming in our relations is something that we all have to work on. And I hope that through our common effort, we'll get to that as soon as possible. Thank you so much. I'm prepared to answer your questions now. Dear viewers, it is very well known in Russia that Kaliningrad, on the one hand, is the smallest region of the country, but on the other hand, it's always one step ahead of other regions in that aspect that, in particular, that in general, they're 1 hour ahead, and they listen to the address by the president 1 hour ahead of everyone. Lately, the investment climate on the whole regarding Kaliningrad region has improved greatly, and the companies are paying greater attention than before. They're looking to the region of Kaliningrad. And once again, if we talk about the companies that are already present in the region, they're sitting in the audience next to us, and they'll be asking you questions. And we're very happy that we see not only major giants such as BMW or BASF, but we also see smaller companies. They do contribute to the positive statistics of investments from Germany to Russia. I know that there are 1 or 2 companies that would like to invest a few million euro. We'll give them the floor, and that's very good. Right now, we would like to welcome them all and thank them. Now the floor goes to Vladimir Nikitenko, deputy head of the delegation of the German economy in Russia in the northwestern region. And together with your team, Mr. Governor, we, and with you, Vladimir's team, we have prepared an investor's handbook for Kaliningrad. This is a very useful leaflet both for entrepreneurs and the companies that would like to create their own branch in Kaliningrad. You can download this leaflet at our website right now in the web chat of our event, or you can follow the link in our email that you have received today, the morning briefing. And now we can ask the question. We'd like to thank the Kaliningrad's governor for a great tourist infrastructure. I was one of those who has taken advantage of that and spent a great weekend in Kaliningrad last year. We'd like to start our Q&A session. And on my part, I also hope that you will hear a few new names of this notorious small and medium enterprises, and that you would have a few interesting investment projects. Now, the first question goes to the person who represents the car-making industry, because if you would ask a regular Russian citizen what's his association with Germany, one of 3 words that you'll hear will be cars. BMW company has been cooperating with Avtotor, has been working on the territory of the Kaliningrad for several years, and I see Mr. Teuchert. He's also a member of the board of directors of the German-Russian Chamber of Commerce. And now we'll be happy to hear from you. You have the floor, sir. Good morning, Mr. Governor Alichanov, Mr. Ambassador, Mr. Shape, dear colleagues. Indeed, I would like to ask you a few questions. Indeed, throughout many years we have been working in Kaliningrad region. I would like to thank you personally for your efforts for us to have a common future. That is very important. You have mentioned that Kaliningrad has introduced certain measures to support businesses, since it has a special economic zone. So, I'd like to ask you the following question. Do you see any changes that might take place in the future? Maybe there are certain specific plans that you can share with us regarding the change in the supporting measures. That was my first question, and the second one has to do with electric cars. It's very important in Europe, and Kaliningrad is situated much closer than other regions of Russia to the European Union. So I was thinking of Kaliningrad region having maybe some specific plans to create infrastructure for electric cars, maybe creating specific conditions. Maybe that could be a pilot region for electric cars. So that could be a space to explore for businesses. Thank you for your question. I think I understand what kind of changes in support measures you spoke in your first question, so I will respond. You're probably interested in the mechanism of subsidies that is regulated by the decree of the government of the Russian Federation 1275. Recently, it has been amended, and we managed to write out the decrease to 0 throughout the next decade. So this decrease will not happen, and the amount of subsidies will be standing at 85% of the expenses that you bear when you pay custom fees and other payments that have to do with our situation. So the level of compensation will continue throughout till 2031. So we have 10 years of guaranteed subsidies from the federal center at the same level that we spoke about. We also had a positive assessment from the Ministry of Economic Development and Ministry of Finances and all other industries, all other ministries, and there is a draft decree in the government, and we hope that will be sent down to Duma for review very soon. This is setting lower social contributions, the level of 7.6%. for all projects, not till 2025, but for 10 years after the registration of the legal entity as a resident of the special economic zone.
Well, that's another change, another improvement that we're planning to get in the near future. Now, talking about electrical vehicles, we do have a small system of charging stations so far, and we are going to develop it further as the Kaliningrad region, thanks to the most recent investments of our energy giants in our infrastructure, is quite profitable, and so we do have a lot of energy resources, and the Rosseti, the Russian grid network, has already invested in the infrastructure as they set up 6 charging stations, mostly in Kaliningrad, in the coastal area. So we have joint projects on manufacturing of electrical vehicles. We will certainly support the further development of this charging network of charging stations, which is going to be more ramified. The only thing I know that those that produce BMW cars, I already had a ride on I-8, but well, I doubt that many people will be able to buy a I-80 car. You know, the governor, of course, can probably do this, maybe by using the car credit terms. So we are going to move in this direction further. Well, I would like to get back to the company which was mentioned by Mr. Government, the BSF company. The company has been on the Russian market over 100 years, since 1874. Maybe Rashid Abukayev will correct me if I'm wrong. So, good morning, dear colleagues. Mr. Ambassador Anton Andreevich, first of all, let me extend my gratitude on behalf of the company for this invitation and organizing this dialogue. I was really very much interested in listening to your discussion. I think you spoke extensively on the farming industry in this sector in Kaliningrad region, and our company has always been interested in this sector. So you mentioned the companies we have partnered with in your region, and of course we would like to listen to hear more about your plans for development. If you have any focus on development and the development of farming industry in 21, we would be happy to listen to that. Thank you. Well, it's true, talking about the agro-industrial complex and the farming industry in general. So in the nearest future, we are going to focus on not only on the development and the providing and developing the melioration system that will allow us to increase the turnover of arable land, and also the program for deoxidizing the soil, which will force us to use more chemicals, because unfortunately these land has been abandoned in recent years, and some areas have suffered from floods. So we do have such a program indeed. And in addition, we have supported 2 more areas in this respect, which we believe are quite strategic. So the one which are related to selection and genetics, and there are 2 projects that we've developed with Master and RBB, and another one is deeper processing with value-added products. So as we realize that if we continue to work only with grain or meat products, we won't be able to compete on the market, so we need to process more complicated products. So that's in terms of production line. So first of all, introducing the more complicated arable land areas, and another one in this chain, in the value-added chain, is the deeper processing and selection. So we do hope that the German farming selection companies will support us not only in terms of the cattle breeding, but also in our projects in developing selection centers related to vegetable growing, grain, and other food products. So I think there are quite many companies in this area, in the Russian-German Chamber of Commerce, and that have joined us today online. So I would like to urge everyone to follow, to respond to the governor's urge, and I'm really happy to welcome the award winner of the Small and Medium Business Armand Farmeron, that award to company Tamak, the production of wood boards. The company that has been represented the Russian market since 2009, so that displayed quite much interest in the Kaliningrad region. Dominic Roman, the company CEO, is here with us today. Please, the floor is yours, dear Mayor Governor. Dear Mr. Ambassador and Mr. Chief, so thanks a lot for this opportunity to speak here. I have two questions, actually. Our company is developing all the time as it works, as it operates in Russia, and it's now quite successful. We have about 800 employees right now, so we do see extensive prospects in export operation. Our export operations account for almost 70%, so we are the leading company in the medium business area. So what I would like to say that quite many companies are looking for cooperation with us, as we are a good partner. But I would like to say that the work in Kaliningrad region in this area is well organized, and all the companies that we've dealt with have been have showed their excellence in this area. So owing to that, we've managed to open up our production lines in Kaliningrad. But I have two small questions. So first of all, you talked about logistics. I think that's a real benefit for the Kaliningrad region, as you have a seaport and the international airport. Nevertheless, we do see there's a need for further expansion of these possibilities. So what's your take on the next steps? What is your vision in this area, how to process orders from the United Kingdom or from the Northern America? So we would like to wish that you could expand the international flight lines. Well, that's a good question indeed. Thank you very much. So far we do have certain bottlenecks that so far have been focused in the motorway border checkpoints, but we are also developing the manufacturing industry, and we apart from that we do see the railways as one of the key areas of development. Chernyakhovsk Park, the former Insterburg, which is located in the heart of the region, in the very center, where we have two different formats of the railway gauge. So there are two points of international partnership there. On the one side, the Russian railways, and a number of other companies that will be dealing with different types of equipment, cranes. So this will be like an inland port within the region. Talking about the seaport, there are certain serious restrictions. As you know, the Panamax type seagoing vessels cannot enter the port, and it requires a large scale work, to expand the port. There's a lot of work to be done onshore in this respect. So I'm talking about the new projects in the area of port constructions. We do hope that within the next 2 years we will complete the construction of a port in the city of Pioniersk. That will be a port for cruise ships and also for cargo ships, the so-called ro-ro freight shipping. So we do hope that this project will be completed within the next 2 years. We do see a growing number, volumes of freight turnover, but which is mainly due to the railway shipping, but the seaport is still lagging behind in terms of the volume of freightage. But we would like to see, how. Actually, we would like to use the example of Hamburg, that has closed part of the seaport, and will probably, if we face the problem of expanding the port, maybe we'll have to think together with the partners about this possibility. Now, regarding the second, this is my second question regarding the personnel training, competence building. So in order to create such production under the pandemic conditions, you have to involve a lot of people, a lot of personnel there. There's a so-called dual system of training. That is what the Chamber of Commerce is doing. But we do have a lot of colleagues. We've established many contacts in this area, but we would be very happy if we could have a specific partner that could play the role of an administrator, coordinator on behalf of administration. Well, of course, I would like to ask my colleagues right now to get in touch with you and to speak to you in more detail about this. But we do have ample experience in that, as ABB has set up a joint consortium with the Federal University, also with the Australian University, a university in St. Petersburg. Its consortium has prepared a special training program, and these people are trained both in Kaliningrad and Australia. So this Federal Kant University was probably the most advanced university on the territory of the region. So they've been developing the dual system extensively, as you know. So if you provide some specific details on that, we would be happy to work on that, as the universities displays interest in that, so that our students could graduate with 2 degrees and would be able to study in both countries. I would like to subscribe to the same initiative, as the Russian-German Chamber of Commerce has been quite active for many years in the area of dual education, and we have implemented several similar projects in 20 regions. We have about 300 graduates under a specific program, so we would be really delighted if we could organize such a project in Kaliningrad region, so involving the Tama company. I think that could be a positive example of Russian-German economic cooperation. So I wish you much success in implementing your project of building a seaport and following up on the investment. So let's go over to our online colleague, Roman Gorovoy from Elektrostar company. Elektrostar has been active in Germany over 100 years. It's quite a famous manufacturer of harvesting equipment, professional harvesting equipment. So the company this year, for the first time ever, jointly with Brand Holding Company, would want to launching new investment projects. So a few questions from Roman in connection with that. So good morning, dear Mr. Alichanov, dear Mr. Ambassador or guests. So thanks a lot for organizing. It's quite useful, interesting dialogue. As you rightly mentioned, I'm a co-owner and director of Electrostar. That's been working in Germany over 100 years, so it's more than 200 employees in the company. The annual turnover about 50 million euro. So that's we work in Stuttgart, in the heart of the German industry. Our company is quite famous in producing vacuum cleaner containers, special sacks. So we are planning to develop further in terms of producing such materials, especially raw materials, and maybe ready-made products further on. So I have two questions. So first, a question: how much time do you think the implementation of such project may take, especially as regards the construction permits, power supply, and other issues? And the second question is: are there any measures to support procurement of equipment? So it's quite an interesting issue as well to us, because the investments, quite large in this area. So thank you, Roman. So let me answer briefly. We do have two hubs, industrial hubs in the Kaliningrad region. I think in this booklet, which is available. So Tolmachova and my colleagues are responsible for industrial hubs. They will be able to consult you on these hubs and these industrial hubs. And I think this is the cheapest way of developing this in greenfield. So talking about the utilities, all the utilities have already been connected, such as water supply, gas, power. So we paid for this already. So if you decide to enter our market, so you don't have to bother about that, because all these questions, all these issues have already been resolved. Well, it might take, as for permits, maybe a few weeks will be needed to sign some formal agreements. I'm talking about construction and completing construction. Well, I'll tell you an awful thing. If you want to build a factory, so the construction permit will probably, you'll get it during the construction process already. So maybe it's not right to say such things. But nevertheless, usually if there are no obstacles, we would be able to issue such permits within 1 week, so there won't be any problem indeed. And the second question was regarding the financial support. We do have a lot of different programs indeed. So there's a program of subsidizing. The program of subsidizing subsidies are provided in some exclusive circumstances when it's just a capex in the factory construction process. But for major projects, we are very careful about that. We do have a number of quite profitable loan mechanisms. We are now reviewing the rates, interest rates. Well, perhaps there will be 2.5%, not more than that. So we're ready to provide financing from our fund, the Center for Business Support.
We're also prepared to help you raise money through special corporations, through the Federal Center, Corporation for Support of SMEs. We have a great portfolio of such projects, providing loans that are very beneficial in Russian reality, and we support projects with these loans. We have programs, but, well, they're not production programs, but this is a program for rebuilding cultural heritage, and we give loans at 15% per year, and that's maybe they're not very clear for the government, giving money at 0%, but still we do that. We're prepared to work with you and to find you suitable programs that we can give you loans or subsidize you. Thank you very much. And when I was preparing for this dialogue, I do have to say that the swift action is indeed the hobby horse of the Kaliningrad region. But as we heard, not a single project is possible without financing. We have Bayerische Landesbank, and Mr. Kaliningrad, representative here in Moscow, will ask you the question. Dear colleagues, dear ambassador, Mr. Shap, thank you so much for a chance to be physically present here and to finally ask you my question. As it was said before, I represented the financial sphere, the Bayerische Landesbank. I represent the branch over here in Russia. We have been present here for more than 20 years now. And we are working actively, both with Russian financial institutions as well as with Russian corporate clients. We're taking very active part in different projects and financing the import of equipment from German procurers into Russia. So my question is, providing long-term financing money has always been an issue. That has to do both with the cost of funding plus with the opportunities of different institutions to give long-term money. But we do that using the guarantees of expert crediting agents, while with German background, it's naturally that we actively work with Olive Hermes, German agency, plus with other agencies in Europe and outside of it. We're prepared to look at different projects and what we have in the focus of our new strategy of the bank that has been adopted last year. We have such spheres as mobility, energy, construction, production of machine tools and equipment, technologies. So the question is, we're prepared to review different projects from these spheres and review them for possible financing with our participation or participation of other banking spheres. And banking sphere from Germany is represented very widely in Russia. So if you have such projects, we're prepared to cooperate with you and to look at them. So this is more of an appeal than a question. Thank you very much. Indeed, due to the fact that we're very close to Europe and our entrepreneurs visit European institutions very actively, and they use European companies to create their production sites on our region. So our cooperation with European banks and financial institutions comes as a natural thing. So I would also like to ask colleagues from our Moscow office and from the Development Corporation, please take note of that. Would also keep you in mind and give advice to come to you when we talk to investors. Quite often they buy machine tools and equipment abroad, in Germany and Italy and other states from the European Union. Thank you. I think it would make sense to talk to Roman Gorovoy, Svetoslav, I just got news that governor does not have so much time, but in any case we'll have time for 3 or 4 questions. Construction sphere is yet another sphere where German technologies play a tremendous role. And we have the representative from Veka joining us, the producer of windows and door profiles. Over the past decade, the company has invested about 120 million euro. Andrei Taranushich, Director General, would also like to ask his question. Dear colleagues, Mr. Ambassador, Mr. Alichanov, Mr. Shap, I'm very happy to be present here. Indeed, we've been present on Russian market for more than 20 years. And as you have said, Mr. Alichanov, we have built 2 plants. We first started building them, we finished that, and then we got the construction permit. So we're quite happy. But in any case, the support, or rather aid, like moral support, has always been in place. Still, we would like a little bit more, but nevertheless, my question is, with a vision into the future, I represent the sphere here in Russia that is well known in Germany as well. Modern housing is impossible to imagine in Germany without new constructions and profiles. And here, especially in Kaliningrad, we have very beautiful buildings, and we would like to preserve them. We do need to preserve the historical image, but still would like to create modern housing using all the technologies that we have. We work a lot with the architects right now, with the construction engineers, and with drawing experts in St. Petersburg. My question is, do you have any such projects in Kaliningrad? Will you launch them anytime soon? And by the projects, I mean possible participation in development for reconstruction of the older buildings and using new technologies to solve the issues. Yes, we have these programs. You probably know that every region has its own capital renovation fund. And we're actually investing a lot of additional funds into implementing this project in old residential areas, German buildings, also though the buildings built during Soviet times, and renovating them. And that involves changing the doors and windows, and a lot of elements have been renovated throughout. Naturally, we have an interest in windows. It's a sore issue here. Quite often, those people who live in houses use different windows. So sometimes it's all in vain when you have renovated the roof and it's very pretty, and you have renovated the facade, but then a person wants to just put in some very simple plastic windows, and it does not look decent. So naturally we can cooperate on that. Maybe we can find some solutions that we can write down as recommended or mandatory for this situation not to happen. So we'll be happy to get in touch with you and connect you with the Capital Renovation Fund. Most likely this is a procure, and if we talk about construction, we can also give you some connections. Some of the producers have their own production sites for windows and doors, but many of them don't. So I think it could be interesting. Thank you. Thank you so much. We're moving on. And now the Russian company, a Russian innovation startup, Ampertax. It's based in Kaliningrad. The floor goes to you, sir. Thank you so much, dear friends. Indeed, we represent a small company. It's not a medium enterprise, and this is a technological enterprise, and it's a startup. And it's very sensitive to time and resources. So after the victory in the Stanford Technological Competition, we were told, go ahead and build the plant, you don't have a lot of time. Indeed, we did that. There was, back in the day when you could travel the whole world, you looked at different platforms, different sites from US to Asia, and for many reasons we stayed in Russia. We have studied the experience in Russia and other regions. Indeed, we came to an opinion that Kaliningrad region is an amazing region that could save our time and money for investment. On the 1st of July, we came into Krabrovo Industrial Park, and in 6 months we have put in our first equipment. That allowed us to sign an NDA with a JET. This is a Chinese company, car-making company. They produce warm contour for electric batteries of electric cars. And such tempo is possible only in Kaliningrad today. So thank you so much for wonderful institution for development of the Kaliningrad region. Indeed, this is You're not alone against the system, David against the Goliath, but you always have a partner who will chaperone you on the way. We can share our experience, how it can be done very fast. There were a lot of questions about that today. And we can talk about construction permits and drawing permits and so on. I'm talking about investment today, but my question is about the investment into the future, into our children. Right now, we're working closely with two centers, which is Quantorium at the Federal University, and also another one. Kids want to apply their skills and knowledge. Maybe it could be quite naive ideas in inventing. I'm always asking, do they teach you how to invent things? And the kids say that they're not taught that. When I talk to in many technological centers, and when we talk about inventions, and we speak the same language with those who have, with our development of a theory how to develop inventions, Hewlett-Packard, Tesla, and Hong Kong Technological Institute, they work based on that theory. And we like to, for Russia and Kaliningrad region, to pay attention to that. We say that we don't have enough staff. We don't have enough inventors, that's for sure. Indeed, you can learn that. Working together with kids. That's important. Also on demand side, I understand that the system of education belongs to different jurisdictions, so to speak. But maybe still the regional authorities could support the strive of kids to try something new and to support the technological companies who are coming over, migrating to Kaliningrad in great numbers. Maybe you could try some to support the inventions. Yes, we have this opportunity and we're doing a lot for that. Sometimes I'm even concerned that we don't have greater material interest from businesses. So we'll be very happy if you find your partner, and I'm sure that you will. You have good schools, and you have mentioned Quantorium, and with the Federal University, and there are also centers at schools. What I've been focused lately on at kids doing practice-oriented work, working with the companies directly, or maybe through their educational institutions. We can discuss this issue separately, and if you have any interesting ideas, we'll be happy to support them financially as well. Maybe you need some equipment for these educational institutions, how to give an impetus to invention and development among our younger generation. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Today we haven't yet spoken about the great sphere of trade, and I'm very happy that we have Alexei Grigoriev joining us, and he represents Metro AG company. We've known Alexei for a very long time, and he's long been a part of the board of directors of the German-Russian Chamber of Commerce. Alexei, you have the floor. Mr. Ambassador, Matthias, Anton, I have two requests and two topics. The first topic has to do with our interaction with SMEs in trade. It is well known that SME right now is a priority in Russian trade policy. That's retail. Retail is at least 50% of SMEs. And we're working actively with small retail in Kaliningrad region as well. We use this format that's called fasol, which roughly translates as kidney beans. We're procurers for this type of businesses, and we have built a model of very simple franchise that allows the entrepreneur to retain his freedom and independence, but lets him be more efficient, more active, and more productive to compete effectively and efficiently with the federal networks, retail networks that are present in Russia, including your region. Today, we have 58 partners on the territory of your region. We intend to develop this movement. We see that it's in high demand. around the country. We have more than 1,700 entrepreneurs who cooperate with us. We'd like to ask for your support, different kinds of support. I would be very happy to cooperate with you as for information outreach in finding the right sites, maybe some tools of support that are provided by the region for SMEs, for example, licensing. As for us, we're prepared to work on the food itinerary of such shops because it's very interesting to have locally produced products. We have spoken with your representatives in Moscow already, and we'll be very happy to have your support. Thanks to that, we could build a whole program in your region. That was my question and request number 1. Now, number 2, it has to do with logistics of our communication with the region of Kaliningrad. We're talking about the easier passing of goods. We have spoken to you for some time now, back at the Advisory Council for Foreign Investment. Indeed, we saw some positive changes. Thank you so much for your support. We have lower interference from the customs officers, but there is still room for improvement, and we'd like to improve. As for short shelf life goods, this is some fresh produce, berries, salads, greens, all things green, and poultry. That also could be the great foundation for your food industry. Samvel, I traveled by myself to Kaliningrad, and I saw a great food scene in Kaliningrad, so we'd like to give more products. I understand that this is not within the regional competence, but we need your support to talk to the custom officers to create some kind of a green corridor that moving from the distribution center to the trade center in Kaliningrad. We're not the only federal network in your region, so that could be a systemic solution that would work not only for Metro, but for other networks as well. They have their own distribution center and also a center in Kaliningrad. We'll be very happy to have your support. Thank you. As for your first question, we're prepared to hold a special session, getting to know the local producers and so on. We're very interested in that. But unfortunately, what we saw before that was greater monopolies in Kaliningrad after the death of Western retail, and now we have Petrolichka coming in, part of X5 retail group. That would be a great opportunity for local farmers who are out of reach of greater networks. They cannot give the right volume that's necessary for major retail networks. So creating a network of this fasol that you have mentioned, that's interesting for us to create, to support our small agricultural entrepreneurs. So I think we can organize an event, maybe in spring when there will be less limitations on holding mass events. As for customs, indeed the situation is changing for the better. That's largely due to the head of the Kaliningrad Regional Customs. You know, for some time now, I have been pitching the idea of white lists and creating a mechanism. How do I put it? There is a thing called authority standing around. So you could use a rating, and you could use electronic monitoring controls and to see all violations, and we can build a risk assessment profile for all kinds of entrepreneurs. And if we talk about Kaliningrad, it's very important for us to have these risk profiles to introduce them for customs. I understand very well what you're talking about. Unfortunately, there are cases when products with short shelf life are being unloaded. It might be defrosted. It gets wet under rain. So it all goes on. All these incidents with customs officers. I'm trying to get rid of this brutto violations for some time now, to get that violation off the list of customs papers. But this is not going through for some reason. Maybe someone has an interest in that, or maybe not. But let's work on this meeting with the head of our regional customs and with leaders of retail. We could organize that, so I'd like to ask my colleagues to note that down as a task with Metro, with Spar, with Semya and X5 Retail Group. I think we need to get some kind of a fast-track customs corridor, maybe creating some kind of white listing for certain companies that would allow for simplified custom procedures, or maybe move on to post control checks, and that's possible with you.
Thanks so much indeed for your response and your specific proposals. If we still have time, would like to give the floor to Dmitry Kapishnikov, KUKA company CEO. He will follow up on education issue. Thanks, dear colleagues. Just wanted to say thanks for this format, which is a combination of offline and online. So, well, I'll probably just ask one question. We do see that in Kaliningrad region that there is a, leak of flight of personnel. That's a kind of a problem, especially in automation projects. We face this problem not only in Kaliningrad, but in other regions. A good example of is Tatarstan, where we set up a competence center on the basis of local higher educational institutions. So we are developing this kind of a track project ranging from schools to world skills. So in Kaliningrad region so far we don't see active response to this, no reaction, especially in terms of robotic technology. So we are ready to support this program. We see that you are ready to support this. Who would you suggest to get in touch with on this issue? Well, in any event, I think Denis Salier will be the best contact person, our representative in Moscow, who will redirect you to my deputy or Minister of Education. They will be in touch with you. As for educational establishments, well, the same person, the same contact, or possibly Igor Baranov, my deputy in charge of these issues. Thank you very much indeed. As far as I understand, our time's up. One more question. You can ask one more question. So let's go online now. Give the floor to Mikhail Germer, International. He's in charge of personnel recruitment, and so he's also in charge of our social responsibility committee. Good morning, dear colleagues. First of all, thanks a lot to the governor for so much efforts in restoration of the city, especially the railway terminal where my predecessors lived. So you showed the photographs, which I like very much. As for the staffing and personnel issues, what are the most needed, the professions in demand right now, and how you were able to attract the specialists? Or, well, as for myself, I'm not going to get away from here. I like very much Kaliningrad region. I'm not even thinking about returning to Moscow. Now, talking about the professions, we are truly interested in as many engineers as possible, and the people who are in IT industry. Also, we need specialists in agriculture. But once again, I would like to say that these must be highly skilled specialists. We have quite enough of simple plain workers, so I always hear inquiries about the need for new specialists and the serious shortage of them. IT engineers, computer programmers, and highly skilled specialists in agriculture. That's possibly the three most groups of specialists that we need in the first place. We're talking about the market and relocation market. So we are adding now 25,000 rubles for people who want to relocate, to move from Moscow, and another 300,000 rubles is an extra bonus for companies on mortgage payments, companies that relocate their specialists from other areas in Russia. If you need some other measures of support, we are ready to discuss this with investors, of course, and we would be able to cooperate in this area. So we're talking about relocation, about moving, and of course it's difficult to compete with Moscow and St. Petersburg. But if you choose from other regions, well, in fact, there are not so many regions where the number of population is growing. Over the last year in Kaliningrad region, the population has been growing steadily. And last year there was an outburst of interest, in the real estate market and housing. A lot of new housing is underway. We're talking about railway that you mentioned. We have not completed this project, so 10 more buildings will be renovated this year. We are continuing to work on also the sewage facilities, cleaning facilities. We're going to finance some other sites and some other areas. There's a 15-year project, so if they're going to be renovated within the next 5 years, we will write off a certain amount of debt. And we're talking about the lake. That's where Gerdown is planning to build a restaurant and a hotel, and also the medical center that will be set up that is going to deal with senior citizens and helping aged people. Ladies and gentlemen, before the closing speech of the ambassador and your closing remarks, let me just make 3 comments. First of all, in Russia, they like 3 things. First of all, it's like a trinity. First of all, the implementation of plans and the construction projects, and of course the businesses that we were discussing today. And also I'm really happy that we talked so much about education and cooperation in this sphere. So possibly it's quite possible, I mean that, but of course if we don't do much in this area, let's find at least one profession, one occupation like electronic engineer or professor or something else that we would be able to promote together with you. That would be really nice. And number 3 in this trinity, in the Chamber of Commerce, it's high time that we deal with, we look at Kaliningrad as the primary place where we are looking for a permanent representative, just as in Krasnodar we already have a permanent representative, so we're going to deal with your team on a permanent basis. So thanks a lot. So please, the floor is yours, to you and to Mr. Ambassador. So thanks a lot, Mr. Shep and Mr. Ambassador. We are really grateful indeed for organizing this event today. So let me emphasize once again that our task as a region is to maintain these contacts, high-level contacts with businesses and with all organizations for the benefit of both nations. And human contacts, of course, should be on a high level, and we are going to make every effort to make this happen, and so we are sure that that will bear fruit, and so we're quite close in this, and we were expecting positive results, and we do hope that our meeting today will also bear, will be fruitful in this respect. So I would like to invite, using this opportunity, to Kaliningrad everyone to for a holiday or to work, and so we are really trying to do everything to make Kaliningrad more attractive, ever more beautiful. We are really happy that our project in the railway district in Железнодорожный are going to be expanded. Now, thanks very much, Mr. Governor and Mr. Shep, for organizing this event today. Mr. Governor, you see that there's such a high interest, and so many people have connected online, so many questions and figures, and the people who have come here representing various spheres. We do see that the answers that you've given so far instill hope. Well, in fact, you know, it's really good that you found time to participate in this event. And talking virtually and non-virtual communications, I do see that you use non-verbal means of communication, and this kind of a gesture, you know, is a kind of a summary of our cooperation, and our dialogue with the governor has really contributed to that. And I do think that our meeting within the framework of this dialogue and our meeting in St. Petersburg was contributed to that. And I do hope that a lot of guests will come to this event, and it will be a wide range of the public dialogue. So thanks a lot for this event. Yeah, 400 people have joined our event, and Mr. Tinko, representing the Russian and German Chamber of Commerce in the Far East. I know that these visits to Kaliningrad region have contributed to the success of our joint business. So, dear spectators, I wish you a good day and follow up our enthusiasm.